Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back. My name is Serena, for those of you who don't know me. And today we're going to talk about how to resolve pretty much any conflict and also what to do when your partner, a friend, anybody that you're relating to brings up to you a desire or a need that you cannot meet. What to do to be able to respect your boundaries and respect what you also need and want without breaking the connection, without creating disconnection. So let's dive deep into the first topic, which is how to resolve any conflict. And the secret here is to really be curious. Curiosity is what's gonna heal relationship, is what's gonna bring pretty much any conflict down to a conversation. Because when you're curious about the experience of the other person, then you are actually trying to understand them and you're not putting yourself into the defensiveness. Now, this is not necessarily easy to do, especially if there is a trigger, especially if there is a moment of stirring up some emotions inside. To explain in deeper details these concepts, I'm going to take a situation that happened to me personally recently. So I went to my lover expressing a desire, not necessarily a need in this case, but very close. So it's a desire that's been growing and that I brought up a few times. And because this desire has been there for a while, it's starting to come close to a necessity. This desire that I brought up was something really related to quality time. And so basically, it's something that is helpful for the connection. It brings something in. Now, on his case, he's expressed multiple times that he cannot meet this desire. Now, the thing is not going into whether or not it's okay for him to not meet this desire, whether or not I am right and he is wrong and whatever. That is not the point, because if we want to create more connection and keep the connection alive, then we want to address things differently. And the default mode that we use, a human being, is to get into the but why wouldn't you meet me there? It's something that I'm asking for the both of us, and like feeling hurt that the other person is not seeing me and not meeting me where I want to be met. And so we enter into this competition of trying to prove my point and the other person defending their position. So in this case, what happens when one person is bringing up a desire multiple times or a need multiple times that maybe you cannot meet, and the reasons why you don't want to or cannot meet that desire, it matters up until a certain point. But what really matters here is to go deeper. So when a person expresses a desire or a need, it might be a physical thing, it might be an action, it might be like, I want to hug, I want to spend more time with you, I want to do something different from what we usually do. Now, this desire or this need hold something deeper inside that is a desire for more connection, more intimacy. So if I am the person receiving this desire and I see that in the way that the person is bringing it up, I cannot meet her or him, then curiosity is what saves me. Because when I become curious, and instead of getting defensive of, I cannot give you that, or I've told you already that is not for me, then I can get curious. What is that you really desire with this action, with this gesture, with whatever it is that they're asking? So for example, in this case, when we talk about quality time, about doing something, spending time in a different way or doing something different, the underlying desire, that deeper desire is connection and intimacy and depth. Many people leave these with sexual desires or fantasies, and sometimes people bring in a topic or a fantasy and the other person is like, I really don't want to do that. But what's the underlying desire there. It could be adventure, it could be change, it could be doing something dangerous or spicier, or change things up a little bit. And so the ideal how to resolve this situation is getting curious about the other person's desire and what is really underneath, and then negotiate. So curiosity allows us to understand the other person in a deeper way so that we can create something that we are okay with, and that the other person still receive, maybe not in the same amount depending on the situation, but still receives something. Now, this negotiation is very important. Why? Because when we negotiate and say, okay, I cannot give you that, maybe we cannot do this thing exactly, and so you propose something else that has value for the other person in regard to their deeper desire. So, for example, if the deeper desire is intimacy and connection and depth, then it's like, okay, I cannot spend time with you in this particular way, but if we want to get to know each other better, and if we want to go a little bit deeper in our connection, what we could do is, and you propose something that feels good for you, but especially what happens here is that the other person feels seen. Because when you cannot meet a need and you give a straight no, that feels like a wall. And it feels like you are not interested in actually connecting to me, because you are taking a need, a desire of mine, and you're just like shutting it down. And it's just like, no, there is no way that we're doing this. And if you don't give me another option, then it's left to me to propose something else. But when you have already received such a straight and direct no without any other proposition, people tend to close down. And people tend to shut down and not express their desires and not express their needs. And this is just human nature, like we have been really taught and we have been conditioned to do this because of fear of rejection, because of fear of abandonment. There is so much bottled up in a human being, so much pain and so much difficulty to actually express a need and a desire, that if you just give a straight no without any other options, without any other ways of creating more connection, most likely what will happen is that the person will shut down. And that starts building also resentment, which we can talk about in another video. So to give a closing up of this situation, curiosity is the number one thing to resolve any type of conflicts. Because when you are curious, you are putting your wanting to be right aside, and you are instead focusing into the other person experience, the other person's feeling, the other person's word and stories, beliefs. There is so much. And in the end, in relationship, there is something that happens that is so funny, that because relationships are our biggest mirror, and really it's something that is showing us deeper part of ourselves and what we have difficulty seeing, sometimes the other person becomes the enemy. And so we enter into the place where we need to prove our point, we need to prove that our needs matter, that we need to prove that my experience matter. And instead, when we calm down, take a breath, and focus on what is the other person feeling, what is the other person experiencing. And this obviously needs to go both ways. If you are only the person that does that, it doesn't work. It needs to work both ways. So one last point that actually comes up with this is what happens when there is a deep trigger. So when there is a deep trigger, normally the person that is most triggered needs to receive the curiosity first. So let's say there is partner A and partner B is really upset about something, whether, like, it doesn't really matter who caused what, who triggered who, and like what was the situation. So if partner B is really upset and partner A is mildly upset and mildly triggered, then partner A is the one expressing the curiosity first and be like, hey, what's happening in your world right now? What is moving? What is your experience? Right? And the other person can start feeling into themselves and expressing and talking. And here is where the magic happens, because in the moment that you validate their experience, people calm down. It's magic. Like in the moment you validate what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, and you show that you care about what it's happening and moving in their world, people calm down. And it's amazing. It's like magic. So I'm gonna leave you with this for today. I would love to hear from you. If you have any commentaries, if you had any experience with this, if you want to try it the next time that there is this sort of friction or situation in either a friendship or a relationship, like really, it doesn't really matter because we're all human beings and we all relate to one another. This can apply also to work and workplace stuff related. So try it out. Let me know how it goes. And if you want to send me a more direct message, you can also find me on Instagram. I will leave the IG link somewhere below here. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this. I'll send you a big hug and I will see you soon.